How many people had something bad happen this week? Show of hands. Something bad. Not the best. Keep your hand up. This month? This year? The last 5 years, something bad happened and really hurt? Your lifetime? Has anyone still got their hand out? I'd love to meet you. The point I'm trying to make is that every single one of this person, every single person in this room, we all have something in common. We all face troubles, problems, struggles. Would you agree? Right? It's part of life. What I found really, really interesting is this idea of depression. I'll be honest with you, I've suffered from depression at different stages of my life. And I'll be really honest, my mum has suffered with depression her entire life. And I absolutely get why. Because she's had to really, really struggle. And she's had a tough life. So I've seen what it does firsthand. Would anyone be honest and say, yeah, I suffer from depression on some level? Yeah? And that's what I kind of want to talk about today in some shape or form. And I hope you guys don't mind. If you're bored with this and you want to ask questions what my favourite colour is, we can totally do that. But I want to talk about this idea because I think it's really, really important. And what I want to do is give you my outtake on what I've seen from my own life. And a lot of people always say, why are you so positive? And why are you so encouraging? And why are you so happy? And it's because I've learned and I've seen things firsthand. And that's what I want to sort of share with you guys today. Now, I often tweet a lot of things and I talk about a lot of stuff on my Twitter. And every time I tweet something that somebody responds to, it's happening in my own life. It's a real experience. And trust me, I go through some really, really big struggles. Even though you may look at my life and think, wow, he's so awesome, and he gets to do all these cool things. Like last week, I missed out on a huge opportunity to be the star of my own show, and it didn't happen. You know? And I could have really taken that badly, but then I've learned that those things aren't really, really important because there's this thing that this world tries to give us, and I feel like this is where this idea of depression comes from and why so many people struggle with it, is because we get so engaged in this world, and the world says to us, hey, if you have money, if you have a nice car or a great house, or you're really popular in all these cool groups, you're going to feel this happiness. And even if I look at my career, the world will say, if you're an actor, you're going to be so much better than everybody else. You're going to be doing what you love to do, and that's going to bring you this fulfillment on the inside. And what I found really, really interesting from my experience of my career is that everything the world promised to give me never really happened. Do you guys agree with that? You know? And here's another thing that's really interesting about, I love dreaming. And I love the idea of chasing a dream and going after something you love. And I'll talk about that a little bit before we end today. But I also think the reality is that once you achieve your dream, if my dream was just to make it as an actor, and I make it because I'm working on a TV show, what happens the very next day after I get that dream? I dream of something else. And then I dream of something else. And let's say one day I say I want to win an Oscar. And if I win an Oscar one day and I get it, does everything just stop? And I'm like, well, I'm done. I got my dream. Yay. You know? That's my Oscar. That was the thing that was supposed to make me super, super happy. But I don't feel like that. You know? And that's what I think this idea of depression is coming from, because we get told one thing, this is going to make us really, really happy. Then when we get it, or we get close to it, or we miss out on it, we have this unhappiness. And I was talking about this with the people that came to my little meet and greet today, and we're sort of just talking about this idea, and what is it? What makes you happy then? You know? And what I think is so much more important is, and what fills that emptiness on the inside is having purpose. How many people can honestly say they have purpose in life, or they know what their purpose is? It's really, really complicated. If you do, that's awesome. But it's a really, really hard thing, and I've sort of struggled with this idea for a long time. What is purpose? career and all the things that the world has offered. And I guess I'll start with this starting point is, and I tweeted this recently, those who can be more grateful can be happy with less. Now what does that mean essentially? In theory, we could all wake up in the morning and talk about our have-nots. Who hasn't got something that they want? Wow, you guys are really lucky people. There's like, and I think what I'm trying to say here is that there's something you can always complain about, be upset about, and say, I haven't got this, I haven't got that. Hey, I wish I had Ian Somerhalder's eyes. But I don't have them, you know? And I could wake up every morning saying, I wish I had his eyes, I wish I had his eyes, but it's not going to change. Or I could be like, hey, I really like my eyebrows. You know? I do. I really do like my eyebrows. So, I think what's really, really important, and I think it's so essential for every single person to start learning how to create habits of being grateful for what you have, not what you have not. And I know it's really, really easy to say. And someone might be in the audience right now going, well, that's so easy to say, but you know, what difference does it make? And it's like, well, it's easy to say, but it's better to do. And how do you do that? And this is my argument. And I've watched my mum suffer from depression for so long. And this is my belief on, you know, that negative attitude is we've created habits in our life. And maybe that habit that you've created is like talking about the things that you don't have, or being unhappy with the things that you wish you had but you don't have. You know? And every single day that you let yourself do that, eventually it becomes a habit. And I'll give you an example. And I was saying this with my group. You know when the elevators aren't working on the lifts? The lifts, you know the escalators? Everyone know what an escalator is? Those moving things, stairs? Now, has anyone had that experience when you're on the escalator, but it's broken? Yeah. Right? It's broken. And you're like, okay, well I'll just walk on it. And you take that first step and you go, whoa, why did I do that? Because your body has created this habit. Every time it sees the escalator, when you step on it, you start moving. Mm-hmm. Do you guys get that feeling? Does anyone get that feeling? Or am I just crazy? Yes? Or no? Okay. Do you know what that is? There's nothing different. There's no difference about that surface. It's just your mind creating that, getting used to that habit of standing on that thing and seeing it moving. Now the exact same thing happens every single time you get negative about what's going on in life, or you're unhappy or ungrateful. Because what you do is you just create habits in your head, and eventually your mind just starts doing that without you asking it to. Now the only way to change that is to start being positive, and that's really, really hard for some people. And I always say, the amount of time it takes to create a habit is the same amount of time it's going to take to break it. So if you've been like negative for 7 years, it's going to take you 7 years to break it. Does that make sense? Kind of? It's a very quiet audience, isn't it today? Very quiet. So anyway, and some people go, well, gosh, it's going to take 7 years. What's the point of that? Because the good news is, in 7 years' time, you can break that habit, and you can actually start smiling again. You know, which is so, so important. And that's where I'm constantly fighting this battle of like what Hollywood says I should and shouldn't do and how I should look. And then you go, I'm just going to stop, listen, and just be happy with who I am. You know? Now, I tweeted once that life is an experience, and I spoke about this yesterday. And I really, really believe this. Is everybody leaving? Zach. That's okay, you're going to miss the most important part. Wah, wah, wah. That's alright, see you guys later. So, as I'm saying, life is an experience, right? Now, has anyone ever told you that life was all about being the happiest and the best at what you do? Because that's what we all go after, I think, though. Everybody, we have this thing where the world's told us that it's all about me, and it's all about my happiness and my gratification, and I'm the most important person in the world, and Mars and Jupiter and Venus all revolve around my circle. But at the end of the day, that's not the case, and I don't believe that. I really truly believe that we're all here as a And life is an experience. And experience isn't just the good. Experience is also the bad. But the bad isn't necessarily bad. It's only bad if you look at it as bad. And here's why. My dad left when I was 12, when I was 2. I was working when I was 12 in a video store every single day after school. And that so-called bad experience taught me the most important lessons and values in my life. One, it gave me an opportunity to fall in love with this idea of storytelling every single day after school, watching movie after movie and actor after actor. The other thing it taught me is that if you want anything in life and anything that's worthwhile, you have to fight for it and you have to work hard. And I learned that as a 12-year-old, not as a 20-year-old, not as a 30-year-old. So I get into a position now where today I'm fighting every single day to chase my dream as an actor. But I learned that as a 12-year-old. Yeah? So what was actually, at the time, a horrible thing, which I thought, this is not fair. Why don't I have a dad that loves me? Why do I have to work? Why am I paying bills when my friends are getting pocket money? But that was actually the best thing that could have happened to me, because it's put me in a position now where I'm in an industry that is so cutthroat and so rejection-based that it doesn't affect me like it would other people. There's so many actors that I've met in my time that have just given up because it's too hard and it's too draining. But I got put in a position where I had to learn those tools. And I got given these great lessons in life that have shaped the person who I am. And there's not a person in this room who probably hasn't gone through something bad, but I'm sure that experience, if you can look at it in the right way, is the best thing that could ever happen to you. But you have to have that attitude, you know? And it's like that whole idea when I tweeted this quote, which I wrote not too long ago, when it's like, make waves in life where most people are happy to make ripples, because it's not necessarily about what situation you're in, it's what you do when you're in the deep end. Does that make sense? Yeah? No. No. I'll explain later first one. So here's the next thing I want to talk about. You're tired. Oh, this is boring. What's your favourite colour? If you could pick one food to make a house, what would it be? Who has a dream? Who's living their dream at the moment? That's good. That's good. What I find interesting about dreaming is that for some reason we convince ourselves that we shouldn't do it. Or we think that there's some sort of age limit to dreaming. You know what I mean? And it's really sad to see some people like giving up on their dream. You know, if you looked at my situation, there's no way I should be working as an actor. Even when I was in high school, our very last day of high school, I went to a really popular high school, it was quite rough, and the teacher went around the last day of high school and asked everybody where you want to be when you finish high school, what you want to do. And I remember saying, I'm going to be an actor and I'm going to work in Hollywood, and everybody laughed. And they laughed because it was so unrealistic to happen that it was the most stupid thing I could say. And the funny thing was, guys next to me were like, I just want to stay out of prison. And guys were like, yeah. Yeah, I want to work as an actor in Hollywood. Good one, Nate. Good one. But it happened. And the funny thing is, a lot of my friends today look back at that and they say, you know what? You knew what you wanted and you chased after it and you did get there. And I still have a lot to achieve. But it's that idea of chasing a dream. Now here's the thing. Anything in life that you really, really want takes hard work. It doesn't just come to you. And if it did come to you really, really easily, you wouldn't want it. Does that make sense? You know? So, here's the thing. If you have a dream, you have to be prepared to give everything to that for it to possibly happen. Possibly happen. Not happen. Because it's not about it happening,
that makes a dream important. It's about going after it that makes it important. Does that make sense? Now I want to share this quote that I wrote, which is kind of important to me, and this is something I sort of hold on to a lot. So a dream shouldn't be measured in its size or scope, nor should it be defined by the age or the experience of the dreamer. A dream should only be measured and based on the passion, integrity, and commitment of the dreamer to follow his or her heart. Now what I would love to hear from all of you today, next time I come to Brussels, if I ever do, is that maybe, and here's the thing, I might only be talking to one person in this room. There could only be one person that's really responding to this, and there's like one thing, it's like, yeah, you know what, there's something I am really passionate about, there's something I really, really want to do in life, but I haven't had the courage to chase it. And I would be so stoked if there's something I said today that would encourage you to go after what you love to do. You know, so many people said that I couldn't make it as an actor, or I wouldn't make it, and there's still people today that probably think you're not going to go any further. But that's what encourages me to keep going. You know, and I would really, really love that you guys do the same thing, you follow your heart, but you chase your dream. You know, because we only do get one life, don't we? You know, so you can either do something you hate and be very good at it, or chase after something you absolutely love and fail and still be happy you're chasing it. And I think that's so much more important. Does anyone have any questions? Comments? Anything? Yes? Okay. Am I in trouble?